Yes, hello and welcome to Black Girls HyperFocus. We are your dopamine fueled deep dive conversation into neurodiversity, entrepreneurship, parenting, and all the things in between for Black and neurodivergent people. So, your host, who are always ready to do the most, in case you didn't know, for on this show, Aura.
Rickey Z.
That's right. And Tara G. And we're two Black women creatives who run businesses, families, and more, all while managing our neurodiverse brains, which is a lot more easier than it sounds. Okay, for real. It ain't easy, but by sharing our experiences, asking lots of good questions, and staying curious, we found so many ways to go from barely surviving to truly thriving. And we hope this show helps you to do the very same, dude, for real.
Yes. Okay. So on today's show, we will be hyper focusing on drumroll.
Ooh,
There's our
yeah.
Patrick affirmations, and so
Yes.
I'm so excited for tonight because to help us dive deeper into this topic, we invited a special guest to talk about some real ass affirmations. So I had the
Come on.
pleasure of meeting this special lady a couple of weeks ago, last month at the Black Pod Festival in Atlanta.
Come
I was
on.
volunteering, and so I was helping with some of the sessions, and I got to listen to her session. And some of the other volunteers that knew her got kind of introduced me, and so she is wonderful. And I had a chance to be interviewed by her a couple weeks ago for her
Boom.
podcast for Lost Affirmations. So I
Yes.
want to introduce Miss Chisa Pennix-Brown, or Chisa D. Pennix-Brown. She's a virtual
Ooh.
educator and mental wealth, not health, mental wealth
Hmm.
lifestylist. She's best known for her award-winning company Lady Business. However, her new company, Give to the People, is a lifestyle
Hmm.
brand focused on a curated event for entrepreneurial mental health, business growth, and education. She is committed to helping entrepreneurs navigate the imperfect imbalance of self-care while making money through
Mm-hmm.
authentic social engagement, networking, and marketing. She has also created one of the best mental health and lifestyle podcasts out there, and I can attest to that because I love it. It's Real
Hmm.
Ass Affirmations, which is a lively jolt of energy, wisdom, and self care, blended with cussing and confidence. And if you've been watching us, we're okay with the curse words over here. Okay, we
Yes.
tell
You
it like
know
it
what
is.
it
And
is.
so, as Chisa puts it, it's the shit you need to say to get you through your day. So,
Hmm.
welcome, Miss Chisa.
Yay! Woo!
Listen, let me introduce y'all before we just get all the way in. This is Tammy,
Oh,
okay?
listen. I'm
So
here
her
for a
name is
tambourine
Tammy
set.
Tambourine Brown, okay? And Tammy,
Oh, come on now.
like, so
I'm here for a tambo.
listen, I love to use Tammy like when people say some good ass shit, right?
Mm.
Or when it's like a highlight moment. I use it when I teach my classes. So I figured this is a great thing. Let Tammy get introduced to the crowd this evening. So hi, thank you for having us.
Oh, I love that. I so love that. That
Yes.
is literally giving me like the life, with like like when you go to church, like that is that piece that like
Mhm.
if it's there, it does add something to it. And you
Absolutely.
do notice when it's not there. Like when there's
Mhm.
certain songs where you be like, this song just need a little
Little
something in there,
tambourine.
you know?
Mhm.
And I feel like affirmations might be like that too. Like we just need a little extra like hurrah, to kind of
Yes.
like give it that extra zhuzh so you can really
Mhm.
feel it and embody it. So I'm digging
Yes.
that, man. That's
Yes.
dope.
Yes.
Well, before we jump into it, Miss Chisa, we want to make sure that you know how this show works and we make sure our audience knows how this works. So what we're going to do is basically we have various segments. So we want to make sure that we just get these little housekeeping stuff out of the way and make sure that everybody's on the same page. So go ahead and kick us off, Ricky. What you got?
All right, so first, let you guys know that we are live streaming. So we are live right now. So if you want to be involved in conversation, be sure to log into Twitch or Facebook right now and get active in the chats. We do post this episode on YouTube on Friday, so make sure you check
Yes.
us out then too. So we'll be monitoring the chats and putting things on the screen. So we may even feature your comment on the
Yeah,
air.
man. Yes. And also, this show is intended for mature audiences and may include adult language, as we mentioned before, but also triggering topics, scenarios, and subject matters. So, it is recommended that you be at least 16 years old to view and participate. So, just want to give that heads up.
And if, make sure you keep your ears out for a Rickey rant, a Terror tangent, or for tonight, Chisa Pennix-Brown, get down. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Come on now. Come on.
Right,
And
so-
you bought the Tambo. So I knew. Look, I was
Right.
already.
You know what? That fits me totally. I'm totally completely with it.
I
So
love that.
we want this to be like extra content where we have our neurodivergent shine the most. And so we share some of our random bits of knowledge, thoughts, and stuff, whatever, for fun.
Love
stuff
it.
like
Just
that.
go down the rabbit hole, basically. Don't resist the urge. Go for it. So since we have, oh yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. Say that again. We didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
I stay down the rabbit hole, so I'm totally with the rabbit hole.
Hello. That's it right there. Listen. So since we do have our guest today, we'll be starting off in hype mode, and where we'll basically get into some basic about affirmations, just a few like basic questions, softball stuff. You let us know. It should just be easy stuff for you, Chisa. And then we'll crank it up a little bit to hyper mode. And there we'll dig a little bit deeper into affirmations and get your questions from the audience. We'll try to remind you guys to drop those in the chat. So then that way we can go into hyper focus mode, where we end out the show strong and we can answer some of those questions from the chat. And also just kind of take a moment to, kind of get your insights, Chisa, from your experience, since you're the expert on this, man. So this is what you do, real ass affirmations. I'm ready. Look, I came ready. So I'm here for it.
So at the conclusion of the show, we'll summarize the top things and give you all the deets on how you can stay connected with us, with Black Girls HyperFocus, and as well as our amazing guest, Ms. Chisa. You can get in all the things she's going on. She's got a couple of workshops and conferences coming up in the next few months. So you definitely want to get into it, especially if you're an entrepreneur.
Yes. Look, that deserves a little Tambo shake. Just a little one. It ain't got to be that big. I'm just saying, just a little, y'all need to know. That's it. Y'all silly. Look, so real quick, make sure that you go ahead and grab your fidget toys, your snacks, and all your things, whatever that looks like for you. No judgments here. Go ahead and get that. You can look, she got her tea. I got my apple and peanut butter as usual. Y'all know how I be doing. And I grabbed a little drinky drink today.
I got a drink and a drink. I got my drink and my drink.
Come on, drink and drink. And that is important. Yes, a little rum in here. Amen. Won't he do it?
Oh, wow. Okay.
Hello. Came through for the day. Listen.
Hey.
This is grown folk stuff. We already said that. Look. So it is what it is. Right. All right. So we are going to start off in hype mode. This is where we are starting with the man or woman in the mirror. I don't know, whatever that looks like for you, the person in the mirror, right? And so, Miss Chisa, what we wanted to know is, how do you define affirmations and how do you feel like they should actually function in our lives, like in a practical way?
Well, I feel like affirmations are really confidence boosters, little prayers that you say to yourself. And when I say that, I mean, I think that the whole point of affirmations is for you to talk to you. And if we're going to do it right, then hopefully the things that we're saying to ourselves are always going to be good. But it's also going to take into consideration that we want to make things better for ourselves, that we might not be where we want to be at yet. So we're putting that in action by saying it and then repeating it, and then hopefully doing the actual actions that go with it to make those things come to reality. So for me, I just think of them like little confidence boosters. And so like, even when I do the podcast, that's why they're not long. Like, you don't need a really long podcast to tell you that you can do something, right? Like that you can do it today, or that you are great, or that, you need to stop doing something in order to make something else happen. So really short little boosts of confidence for you.
Okay. So that's a really good point. I just love that, you had mentioned the part about it's not just saying things, but also the action piece. I think that's the part that I be, we be expecting the words to just do all the weight pulling, and it feels like, nah, you gotta, it's two-parter. It's what I'm hearing you say. Is that correct?
Definitely, because I mean, you got to think about it like this. People talk about they want to do something all the time. They want to do what they did do, but it's like, until you actually do the next thing to get you where you need to go, okay, you're just talking. So if you keep telling yourself that you can do something and you then actually believe it, because that's the part. That's when I say it's kind of like a prayer, because I'm praying to something higher than myself, but also trying to say I can in whatever it is, whatever I'm trying to manifest. And that allows me to then be able to work on what I need to get to next thing. And I always look at it like this: when you're working in your gift, you'd be amazed at how the doors start to open for you, because everything that y'all are doing right now, do you understand how many people need this show? But until you decided to do this show, you didn't have somebody that understood it, and also your language, your point of view from Black women, so it's power in saying, y'all could have just said, oh, you know what, I would love to do a show and talk about some neurodivergent shit. And that would have been great. But if you only kept it to yourself or only to you two, that wouldn't help as many people. So that's how I look at affirmations. Like, we say it to ourselves, and then it gives us the confidence to bring it out into the world to other people.
Absolutely. Awesome. Rickey, you got something you want to ask Chisa? Get in here. Uh-oh, you on mute, boo.
I'm trying to get my life together and do things.
Okay, listen, we already know this is a neurodivergent show. Y'all better be ready.
Okay. So how would you describe a regular affirmation practice, and why is it important to have one?
Oh, so I think for me, it's saying something every day. I don't think it has to be a different affirmation. It could be, but I think that you know what you need at a particular point in time. And so in you kind of recognizing what's missing or what you know you need to work on, it gives you that, okay, I need to keep saying this to myself. And I think I tell people all the time, like, I talk to myself real breezy. I'm from New York. So when I say things to me, I'm going to say stuff in the way that I need to hear it, right? Now, that might be rough for somebody else. It really might be. But what I've learned over doing this process with this podcast is everybody needs a little roughness too. Because sometimes talking to yourself really nice and really soft, I'm not saying don't say nothing to yourself, but what happens, I think a lot of times, is we make excuses and we say we can do it later, or we say, oh, it's not that bad, or, oh, well, we can, and it's like, you know what? No, you messed up. This is not where it needs to be. So keep telling yourself that you can get there and make those little adjustments that you need to make along the way. So I look at it like, just pick what works for you on any particular day, because you might need something different each day. And you might need something different in different times of the day. It could be the same day. You could have woke up on a high, and then by the time you get to the evening, you're a total low, and you need to tell yourself different things. And I don't believe in a balance, right? It's just, what do you need at that time?
Right.
That's good. No, that's really, really good, especially because I think so many of us are always looking for it to be like, it needs to look like this in order for it to be considered valid. But that's something that we are challenging, obviously, even with the show, as far as like neurodivergence and understanding that, hey, you don't have to show up in a box sort of way. You're a human being. You're going to ebb and flow. There's going to be days where all the affirmations are giving you all the life. And then by the end of the day, you're just like, I can't do it. I don't know. I've had enough. and tomorrow we'll try again. But I like that, because that gives us like that grace.
Yeah.
I like how you're talking about how you don't have to necessarily be like hard on yourself, but like sometimes we can sweet talk ourselves out of it, out of doing something. Oh, it's just, we can do this later. Oh, it'll be fine if we just wait. No, now's the time.
Yeah.
No time better than now.
Yeah.
Well, I like to say too, though, like you said, it's that ebb and flow. So some days it's like, all right, come on and get it done. And other days it's like, all right, it ain't happening today. And that's okay. Like it will happen tomorrow. It will happen the next time. Like I think it's just giving ourselves that grace, which in itself to me is kind of an affirmation. Would you agree, Ms. Chisa?
I do. But I think also in that, we still need to do, so like, this is just my take on it, and everybody will have their own take. But so I think she's 6 years old right now. I wrote a book called The 90-Day Focus, Your Action Plan for Success. And in that, what you're supposed to do is think about what you want to do in order to get to that next level, whatever it is for you, whatever your personal project is, or your passion project, your work project, whatever the goal is, right? But if you do something consistently for 90 consecutive days, you will see a change. So even the days, and I'm going to be honest, when, I looked at everything and talking about the show, and I'm reading, I'm like, well, let me see if I am neurodivergent, right? And I'm looking and I'm reading, I'm doing my research and stuff, because y'all got me researched down, honey. I done read so much stuff. And I was like, the thing that I know that I have, and especially that manifested itself even more, is anxiety. But I am a person who thrives off of anxiety. So it's a weird thing. I am a
no. Totally a thing.
high level functioning anxiety. And when I don't have stuff to do, that makes me feel even crazier. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
it's like,
you're waiting for the ball to drop kind of thing.
Yeah. But then this is what I realized. You get so overwhelmed in your own mind that you sometimes know you have stuff to do, but I don't think you can process everything that you actually have to do. Like it's days where I'm a to-do list person. I'll write a to-do list and have 10, 20 things, but I know that I don't have to accomplish them all today, but I know I want to accomplish them maybe by the end of the week or the end of the month or whatever it is. So when you're talking about, just how you do things, it still needs to be something every day. And I don't care if that's one post on social media, if that's one email, if you read something, if you listen to something, if you talk to somebody. But I think that even in our funk, even if you get in a funk, you still need to do one thing each day that's going to get you closer to a goal. So yeah, have a bad day, have a good day, have an in-between day, but still do something.
Right. Be moving forward. Be moving.
Yeah. I mean, that's something might be taking a bath. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like if that's taking a bath and that makes you feel better, because I think water is one of the things that clears my brain, right? You might get a whole nother reaction to everything that you've been feeling when you go take a shower. When you go take a bath, I'm a quick, take a nap. Okay. Life is not working for me right now. I'm gonna hit this nap. I'm gonna be back. And when I get back, we'll see what I'm gonna do after the nap. Right. Something. That's the biggest thing,
I love that. And so to your point, just I guess I'm saying we need to slow down a little bit to the point where we start to appreciate that like any step forward is a step forward. Like that's the important piece. It doesn't have to be the biggest step. It doesn't have to be the thing that you have been planning for weeks and months and whatever. Like life will go on, but your mental health and your pacing is really important, that you you're in tune with that and understanding. I think that's part of that piece of like affirmation as well, is just affirming the reality that like not every day is a go day for me, but that doesn't mean that I can't still make progress towards my goals in another way. And I like that. Yeah,
exactly.
So let me ask you this. I mean, now that we're kind of going in the path of like talking about like who affirmations are kind of for, who you think they kind of help the most. Specifically because we are neurodivergent. Rickey and I both were diagnosed with ADHD in our 30s of all places, right? So which is an issue because there are unfortunately many of us that get missed because the research is very reflective of white males. That's where all the research is. So we don't look like white males bouncing all over the place. So they like, we don't know that anything's going on. And all this time we knew something was up.
Yeah.
So, but essentially like now that we've been able to kind of like breach this and really understand that, it's been helpful to be able to actually give ourselves basically with neurodivergent people, because for a long time we have had to work so much harder than our peers without appearing that we are falling behind, without appearing that there is an issue. There's a lot of masking that goes on with that, where I have to basically appear to be, quote unquote competent, and not appear like I have questions or I'm not understanding how things are being expressed. So when you finally do, reach the place of success, you're like drained because you had to do all this work to just appear to be normal or whatever. And so now that like we have this space to now kind of affirm the part of us that like it's okay to like not be okay. It's okay to like have a day when you're really feeling anxiety. Because for us, we do a lot of stuffing, or at least for me, I know I have done that a lot, where I would just like not want to admit that like today is a hard day for me. I would want to like do the whole, I'm strong Black woman. We out here, we strong, we keep it thriving. We gonna march on through. We got it. Come on. Yeah, and inside just all cracked up. I heard somebody say that once before. They were just like, the reason why Black don't crack is because it's not cracking on the outside. It's on the inside.
Ooh.
And I was like, God damn, like that is whew. So yes.
Oh, wow.
But I felt that because I felt like that was what was going on with me. It's like you couldn't see it, because I know how to wear the armor, and I know how to put on the perform, the things or whatever to make you feel like I'm okay and I'm blessed and I'm highly favored and everything's working out on top and rising. And inside, I am like dying, and nobody is like, able to kind of affirm that within me. So I guess my thing is, do you feel like affirmations are most helpful for individuals who have a clear understanding of who they are, people who are kind of like discovering who they are, like who would you consider to be like the person that is most helped by affirmations versus a person who you probably don't need affirmations, you're well on your way? Or do you feel like there is anyone like that?
I think personally that there is a need for affirmations for everyone. And regardless of if a person will tell you that they're using affirmations or if they use that word, there is some driving force behind them that causes them to be the way that they are. And so whether they're affirming something positive or something negative, they're still affirming something, right? And so that's kind of like, if you tell yourself you can. If you tell yourself you can't, you can't. And then, sometimes people don't do things until they're forced to do them, or until there is no other choice, no other route that they can go but to go this way. So I think when we look at affirmations, I think that they're really most for people who they don't even have to necessarily know that that they're doing the affirmations, but they have an understanding that they want to do better in general. And those people are open to a new interpretation of what better means for them. Because I think everybody has their own term for better. I think everybody has their own term for success. And when you look at that, it gives people the opportunity to say, well, I can do better than I did yesterday, right? And I know where I used to be and I don't want to be there anymore. So when you're open to receiving, and I mean, it may sound a little off, but I think affirmations are there to also help you to criticize yourself in a positive way, right? Because you're affirming something oftentimes that you're actually not doing, that you want to be doing more of, that you want to be more confident in a certain area. So when you're open to receiving criticism from yourself, I think that the affirmations work the best. Because when okay, you know what, I'm doing it. Yes, that affirmation is working. It's kind of like, to me, even when you talk about people that believe in the law of attraction, right? When I first started studying the law of attraction, I realized what I was doing wrong. And, even if you want to look at that, just like a small snippet would be, I would say, well, I don't want that to happen. I don't want to do such and such. I don't want to. And the thing was, it was like your thing that you're doing is actually affirming all the stuff that you don't want. So instead of worrying about that, say the things that you do want, the things that will get you there. And once I started doing that, I was just like, oh my God, it works. And even if you do it, something that's so simple as like a parking space, I'd be like, oh God, gonna have me a parking space. It's going to be there. I'm not going to have to walk far. Okay. All right. And then when you turn that corner and it's a parking space and you can get
like,
it.
Well,
Listen, that's when I'd be like, Lord, God loves me, honey. He loves me. He knew I didn't want to walk that far, right? So it's kind of one of those things when you have to say, what are you attracting? And I think that affirmations help you to criticize, but also attract a better version of you for whatever that looks like for you, is to say, look, I can do this. And that's why I always use the I can so much, because I feel like that's one of the most powerful, aside from I am, when you're affirming who you are and what you can do, because it's always somebody that's going to tell you what you can't do. And I love to prove somebody wrong. I love it. I live for that. That's one of my
honey, listen, that.
So, I mean, that to me, being open is the biggest thing, because a lot of times, and I've been this person, but people don't want to be criticized. And I think that, one of the things that helped me was going to Toastmasters, because Toastmasters is a professional speaking organization. So when you're listening to somebody speak, what you're supposed to do in order to evaluate what they're saying is to start with something positive, then give them feedback on where they can improve, and then end with something positive. So you have this sandwich approach. It's not just to attack and break down people.
Right.
And I think when you do that with yourself, one of the things that I would say is a trait of mine that I've noticed over this time and just researching and studying is they call it positive toxicity sometimes, right?
Oh, yeah.
I'm so positive that things will work out that sometimes I will look at the positives and try not to really focus on all the negatives. But you have to take into consideration that that's not real either. It's going to be negatives that happen, but you still want to find a positive inside of it, you know? So I look at an affirmation as accept it, right? Accept it, be willing to be open, and be willing to criticize yourself so that you can grow.
Would you say it's similar to reframing? Where essentially, so like for me, I have anxiety as well. It's another one of my neurodivergencies. So when my anxiety shows up, I like my therapist has recommended that basically instead of me just being like, oh, like anxiety, like it's going away, like come on, stop, why am I feeling anxious? That just makes it worse. So whenever I actually just say, you know what, thank you, anxiety, for showing up. I know that you have served me in my past. You have allowed me to live up until this point. Obviously, I've survived 100% of my, days. And so I appreciate you showing up, but I'm safe right now. I'm okay right now. And I don't need you to necessarily be around. You're welcome to stay, because there's nothing I can do to push it away, right? Like, you're welcome to stay. Now, I'm going to get some food, but right, come on, get in here. Right, Lord. But, at the end of the day,
so how can listeners get started with...
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. There's a delay on my end for some reason. Never mind. So how can listeners get started with affirmations or get back into doing them if it's been a while?
Of course, I'm going to, number one, say go listen to Real Ass Affirmations. Go to realasaffirmations.com. But I think that you need to really sit down, and I would say it's simple. Write a list of what you want to happen. Like once you start to write that list, then you can start to use the simplest thing is a I am or I can phrase. That's an easy way to do it. You can always look up, there are affirmations galore. If you Google affirmations, there are going to be some that are going to be really long and drawn out. There are going to be some that are a couple of words. There are going to be some that are like a sentence. But I think once you find whatever resonates with you, similar to, and this is how I like to look at it, a song, right? I'm very much into listening to music because I feel like music is one of those things that gives me a feeling of where I want to be at a certain time. And I think an affirmation is very much like that. How do I want to feel right now? So if I know, and I mean, the stuff that I listen to focus, this is probably where my neurodivergence comes in, is what's the word I want to use? Most belligerent rap music, right? So
Gangsta rap.
I don't know why. I got one song.
You ready to go.
I'll tell y'all the name of the song if you want to listen to it. But it's a song that's by Ghostface Killer and Beanie Siegel, and it's called Barrel Brothers, right? The song is so like drum driven, high pitch, but a lot going on in it, and it's such a belligerently great song, right? When I need to sit and focus, like I want to get this done in 30 minutes, 15, I have to play that song. If I am in a mood where I'm like overwhelmed, like, oh my God, I'm going to cry, I need to play that song, right? So, and it's everybody else might be like, oh girl, listen to some jazz music, turn on some gospel. That's not going to work for me. Like, it's just not. I think it has something to do with just the energy that you need to feel in order. And I don't know why I can focus on that, right? So it's like other people will be like, well, what are you listening to? If I have work to get done, I will put that on, listen to on repeat, and I can sit and work for hours and get so much stuff done. So it's kind of like, I think you have to find an affirmation that's going to fit you in any given mood, because your mood is going to change. And so what I tell people too is, you can listen to other podcasts, because sometimes the soothing voice, you can also listen to sounds, right? Like if there's nature sounds, make your own affirmations. It doesn't have to be something that somebody else has put together. It could be something that you come up with, because this is one of those soothing things that calms you down, that gets you back to where you need to go. And I like to tell stories and do parables. So for me, it's kind of like, if I give you the affirmation, it's going to be a story and a lesson in it, and you might not need that at a particular point in time, but you do a lot of times, which is why I think it helps people to listen to that podcast, and they'll tell me, look, I go back and listen to a certain episode because I need to be hyped up. So it's kind of like an episode for other people is like the music for me, right? It's a tone, it's something that's hitting inside of you, and it helps you to just feel better.
I think it is so funny you said that, because I legitimately have like a specific playlist that I play. I called it my period playlist because I was just going to play it like during that time, but literally I play it anytime. Like whenever I just need that extra like to do a thing, go outside and walk my dog or whatever. That's my listen to. And then my focus music, oddly enough, is Erykah Badu. I don't know why. I will just be like, play some Erykah Badu. I could listen to that like on like all her songs on repeat for some reason, and just
I could see that. But Erykah has a tone that I think resonates with, like, to me, kind of calmness, but then also it's this vibe that she gives off that I think is
because I got the block on lock, the trunk stay.
I like that.
You gotta get that,
But that Master Healer, honey, like she gives me so much in so many songs. You know, like, because you know what? One of my favorites is the one where she's like, my eyes are green.
Yes.
When I'm like, listen, and then when it drops,
such a story.
You wait for it to just kind of crescendo and then just drop to where she's singing this sad song. Beautiful. And it's like, I love that feeling. Yeah.
I can't help it. I love that song. Literally, that's my jam.
But it's a juxtaposition. So why do we like that? Because it's one high and it's a low, but you get all of this feeling in one song. And I think that's a great description of like what it is probably to be neurodivergent, right? To feel all these emotions, to have all this going on, but then to
literally
be able to articulate it, you know?
Man, yes. And like basically she took our experience and just like widened it up so you could see all the layers, as opposed to just like what we're normally seeing, which is just the presentation of you. She just gave it to you in different ways. You're totally right about that. And I love that.
I love that song.
Goodness. All right, dude. Well, that is a way to start off a first session, honey. We are in this thing. I'm digging it. Yes. So if you have a question about affirmations for our guests, please make sure that you drop those in the chat, and we are going to address those during our HyperFocus mode, which is right after this next mode, which is hyper mode, which we are going to talk about my mind's telling me no. Because, you know, sometimes your mind just be like, I'm not on board with this. I don't understand. So,
Yep. All right. So first question. So what if you don't believe what you're affirming about yourself? Do they still work? And if so, or if that's not, how can that be fixed?
I think that you want to believe it. I think that a lot of times people want to believe that they can do better and get better. I think that people want to believe that they will get out of a situation. And I think when it comes to the affirmations, you want to say them because you feel like you'll eventually get there, right? Like I had this one friend who she lost her job. She was excellent at doing her job, but they phased her out because I can't go into all the details, but let's just say they wanted somebody younger. And they also, the young lady that ended up getting her position just happened to be the daughter of a president of a college. So let's just put it like that, right? Even though she was wonderful at her job. And what happened was her self-esteem, her energy, everything just dropped for like every bit of 2 years because she couldn't get the type of job that she wanted to get after that. And she is a community building type of person. She is an uplifting, confident type of person on a regular basis. And it felt like it just took all of the wind out of her sails for years. So, you know, I would always tell her, well, look, you know, you're going to find another job. You're going to do such and such. She ended up getting a job. It was not what she wanted hours wise. It was not what she wanted money wise. She ended up having to get a roommate. Now, this is a grown over 40-year-old woman that had to do all of this, but it was the situation that she was put in. And I think that when you get into the worst situations, that's when you feel like they're not going to work, right? I don't necessarily think that you don't believe it. I just think that your situation causes you to feel like you're not able to achieve something, right? Or like it's not working because what's happening is you're not seeing the results that you want fast enough. And 2 years is a long time to go from a high all the way to being really low and then try to bring it back up again. But I think that once you realize like stuff will get better, people do care about you, people are still checking on you, and sometimes you have to go through those things that you don't want to. But my biggest takeaway from that is you couldn't be where you are if you didn't go through those things.
Listen.
And I think that one of the words that you said that I use often is appreciation. And I'm not saying that because you don't appreciate your situation, that's why something happened to you.
Right.
I'm not saying that at all. But I am going to say this. I think that if you always take into consideration that something is always going to go wrong, it doesn't matter how high you are or how low, there will always be something that's going to come up and go wrong. You will plan differently, right? And so in thinking that everything is going to be good all the time, when the shoe just drops, it's like, okay, now I don't have anything. So I think we need to always be in a situation where if we're really serious about our affirmations, which to me a lot of times tend to be tied to faith also, then we always have to have something else that is going to put us in a position to where we won't just lose it all, right? Because your confidence in who you are, what you have, what you do, your accomplishments, and how you're able to contribute make a huge difference in how you feel. And to me, it seems like the affirmations do work better when you're happier, right? When everything is going right. Oh, all these affirmations work, right? They work the same way before, but maybe because of your situation, you didn't appreciate it. And I think that once you start to realize there always needs to be a backup. And this has happened to me before too. Like even when I wrote the book, I had one client who was a friend at the time, who's not a friend anymore, that I ended up working for, helping them to build their company and their thing and put my stuff on hold. And when I'm telling you, it went totally, completely wrong. And that's when I really had my first bout of depression. I was like, I will never, ever again put myself in a situation where there's one thing that I'm relying on in order for me to have income, in order for me to put so much emphasis and effort into somebody else's something that I'm not taking care of me. And I think that your situation is where it is. They still work. They still work, but they may come in little small teensy increments when they're working, and you might not realize it. Like, let's say, that's happening and you do an affirmation and you're not paying attention to it. You have a bad attitude, but then somebody does like a pay it forward. And it's like, oh my God, but it's little, right? But it could be little things, I mean, it could be somebody gave you something for free. Like you went out to eat, you only had a little bit of money, and they were like, girl, don't worry about that. I got you. Like it could be little things that happen, but you're not looking at it like that because you're so focused on the situation.
That is so good. So good. And as you were talking, it made me think of the fact that I know as a Black woman myself and neurodivergent and all of that, like I said, I only speak from my experience. So one thing for sure was I wasn't properly valuing what I was able to do or even like bring to the world because I didn't have a good account of who I was. And like, so how could I possibly properly value myself if I don't even know who I am? Which is why, we push so much about like getting to know yourself more intimately and understanding these things about like neurodiversity and all of that, recognizing that is not something that is like a horrible thing to have or an issue when it comes to the world. Unfortunately, the world was not made for our brains. And so like literally we didn't have a choice as how we show up. We have, different ways of thinking about things and, executive functioning and all of these things that we have no control over. And unfortunately, because we live in a patriarchal white supremacist, society, we have to deal with, all of these ways in which like the world is not made for us. And so we have excelled, but often we can't even appreciate it once we get there, because by the time we get there, we're just exhausted. So like in my example, I have worked for an insurance company and have become number one in the company. And then basically at the same time as me becoming number one, like my health had drastically changed. I had IBS issues out of nowhere, all types of stuff. So it was to the point where I had exhausted all of my sick time. And they were just like, well, at this point, we can only offer you to, go ahead and quit, or we'll have to fire you the next time that you're absent. And I had just had surgery. So it was like, well, you're letting me know what's happening here. And it just lets you know, like, in the end, it didn't matter that I became number one, because they still fired me. That's the point, right? They're never going to value you as much as you value you. And you are never going to be able to value yourself until you get to know yourself deeply in that way and accept who you are and how you show up, and recognize that, like, just because these things may come with some adversities or may come with those, things that make it a little bit difficult in life. Honestly, life is difficult in general, in case you didn't know.
Yes.
But just know that, like, it gets easier when you are at least secure and anchored in who you are as a person, I think. So that just helps in terms of, like, being able to affirm things about myself. Because then I'm not just saying stuff and being like, well, I hope that it sticks. Like, no, I know that, like, if I want to be wealthy, then I'm going to have to put in a certain level of, work, or I'm going to need to make accommodations to work with people to be able to do that. You know what I mean? Like, I have to be realistic with myself as far as what that needs to look like. But
I think also part of that is, like, feeling like you deserve these good things to come your way. Like you feel like you don't, like, even after all the hard work, all the effort, all the like your natural skills, and then, like, all the hard work you put into to help better your skills, like, do you still feel like you deserve those good things to come your way? Do you value yourself to feel like that you deserve those things?
I mean, if you're asking me, I always feel like I deserve some great things, but I think I do. I really do. But you know what? Sometimes, you know how people will be like, I want that person's life. I don't want anybody else's life. If I have the choice between a whole bunch of money and then some of the problems that some other people go with, and then just having my life and working my way up, I'm gonna just have my life and work my way up. Now, not to say that I don't want a whole bunch of money. You got to be great, because money brings not necessarily peace, but money, it definitely brings opportunity. But money brings hold on for a second.
Oh, yes, take your breath. Catch it. All right.
Money brings a freedom for you to not do stuff. Pardon me. That's why I kept drinking my tea. I was trying to not have to cough.
You've been dealing with a little throat situation. It's
been this summertime air conditioning
right
thing.
Okay, so I thought it was just me. Congestion. Right. Foolery.
Yeah, it's like a mucus thing. All right. So I'm thinking that it's all over the place.
Yes.
I'll take a cough drop in a second. But money brings freedom to do some of the things that you can't do now, right?
Right.
Because you don't have the money. And money also helps bring time.
Right.
When you have more money, you have a lot more time, right? To be able to do some things. So for me, I like to look at the fact that you can work yourself to death and have a whole bunch of money and still not have the time, right? So you have to find what's going to be the thing for you. Listen, I can have some money and I can have some time, and then some is just going to be dependent on what you're doing. It's some people that will kind of look at what you're doing and be like, you're not even making any money at that. Why are you out here podcasting? Or, okay, well, you're getting a sponsorship, but that's not a whole lot of money, right? Everybody's not going to get $1 million off of podcasting, right? There are people that will, but it doesn't mean that you don't keep working and doing what you're doing. It doesn't mean that you don't keep showing up, because it's not just about the money. It's about the impact, right? And that impact can lead to a whole lot of other things. And what I can say, this is just my personal opinion on this. I feel like your voice is a powerful instrument. And in being that powerful instrument, that's why the affirmations are important, because people will see the way that you're living. People will see the things that you're doing. And you don't know who this is going to touch. You don't know who's going to see this. And this episode might be the one where they're like, Rickey and Tara, let's get y'all a deal. And I'm going to be like, okay, remember I was on there too.
Right.
Throw in that now.
Right.
But
you have to use your voice. And whether you use it where you're saying the affirmations like out loud, or whether you're saying them in your head, that voice is still there telling you, I need to do something for me. That's really the big thing about it. So just a conscious effort that goes with it,
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I feel like the next question that we had, you kind of already answered it. So, what I would like to hear from you before we go ahead and transition, can you tell us a little bit more about what you do, Chisa, just in general, as far as like the type of work that you're doing? Where can the people find you? We want to know how we can connect.
Yes. So what I do, I'm just going to give you two different versions. When
Sure.
I'm in my other company, Lady Business is a marketing and branding company that helps people to show up and show out online. So I teach primarily to help people start and grow their businesses. When I'm teaching, I'm typically teaching for colleges, universities, and companies that are in a position to be able to help people with those starting of the businesses, right? So if I'm teaching for, most of the time, it's like a small business center,
Mm-hmm.
because in North Carolina, we have 58 of them. So I teach for
Oh,
a good
wow.
majority of them in the state. And their directive is to help people start businesses. They have money that is a budget that comes from the state, and money has to be
Wow.
spent. So my thing is, how much of that money can come to me? Um,
Right.
so I really look at it like that, right? And
Yeah.
so really, when it comes to that, my job is to make it easy for people to understand what they need to do to start and to grow their businesses. So I focus a lot on the marketing because that's where a lot of us are lacking, right?
Mm.
Now, my other company, Give It to the People, my husband and I started that, and Give It to the
Dope.
People was started because of the fact that okay, it started because I used to say give it to the people. And the reason I did that is because my tagline for years, before everybody started saying show up and show out, was show up and show
Mm.
out.
Mm.
Then when everybody started using it, of course, the girl couldn't use it anymore, right? I was
Right.
like, oh, I got it. So I still use it, but I'm like, nah, we
Mm.
gotta come up with something different. So I
Mm.
started saying, well, what do I do, right? So to me, give it to the people is an affirmation, right? Like
Mm.
that's what I do, is give it to the people. I don't know what it is going to be, but I know what my it is. It's the energy, right?
Right.
Confidence. Those are the things, and quality. So it started like that as the tagline. Then we created a podcast that was like a live stream similar to this. And then we decided, okay, well, we're going to do some events in the name of Give It to the People. So we did like a
Mm.
Give It to the People experience. We did a Give It to the People picnic. And then
Come on.
we decided, well, let's just Give It to the People the business. So then when we did that, we said, okay, well, what's really going to be the focus of this? And, with my husband, he was like, well, it's got to be different than what you do with Lady Business. And what do we
Mm.
do together where we use our skill set that makes it make sense, where it does make a different business? So the thing that we decided was, when we decided on the term of mental wealth. So it was really focusing on a mental health aspect of self-care, focusing on the entrepreneur, because nobody cared about the entrepreneur before. And I'm not saying like nobody cared,
Yeah.
but
I got you.
until, let's just say the shit hit the fan when COVID came and shut
Correct.
everything down, then all of a
Correct.
sudden everybody cared about the entrepreneur. All of a
Right.
sudden everybody cared about Black business. We've been
Right.
Black. We've been
Right.
entrepreneurs for years. But now, once
Right.
mainstream society decides to care about the entrepreneur,
Right.
we've already, as just like a whole, let's just say the entrepreneur, we've already been supporting the country, right? We,
Mm.
as far as small businesses, still employ people. We bring in a lot of money cumulatively, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so that we said, okay, well, that was one thing, was we really wanted to focus on that, because I don't think people realize how ragged they run themselves. You'll work more hours for
Telling
you
you.
than you will for somebody else, but it's because you want to. It's also because you have a dream and a desire and a passion to do that. And so that's when we said the mental aspect of it. But the wealth part was, we need to make some money with it too.
Right.
So this can't be, we need to have something where we're focusing on our self-care and giving entrepreneurs the opportunity to network, to be able to connect in a different way, right? Like instead
Mm.
of just like at our events, I don't think we ever have had anything where people are like passing out business cards. We won't even let them do that when they first get there. You can hold your
Mm-hmm.
business card to the end. Like if somebody asks you
Right.
for it, then do that. Because the thing
Mm.
that we always believe is connection. Do not
Right.
give me a business card just ramping up to me. Here you go, put it in my face. Don't do that. Let me talk to you and have a conversation and decide if I even want your business card. And then I'm probably going to listen to you and see,
Mm-hmm.
I need more than one, because I want to share it with a friend also,
Correct.
but we don't
That's
have
it.
that conversation. And so we've been
Mm.
trained in business to just like, here you go, here you go, here you go, like it's a billboard. And that's not really the way to be. Like, we need to have those things. So everything that we do micro gatherings. Everything is smaller events, which allow people to really be able to connect. And so we found that has worked out so much better, because we teach people while they're there ways to actually connect, ways as an individual to be a lot more cognizant of triggers that are happening to you, or ways to self-soothe, ways to calm yourself, things that we're using, whether it's food or if it's a beverage, or, if it's, whatever it is, it could be an instrument, right? So at the last one we did instruments and stuff. Just letting people understand that there's more than one way for you to be about self-care and to make money in those connections. And that's what happens. It makes it so much better. So those are the two things that we do. And we still, we do some social media for people. We do some marketing for people. So it just depends on which business you're kind of dealing with. But either way, the goal is still educating people and really getting to know people and what their needs are.
That reminds me. So like when I met Chisa at the Black Pod Festival, hosted by the Black Pod Collective, like that was probably the biggest thing about the entire weekend, was not really just networking, but we were making connections with each other. So just, not trying to necessarily get people to listen to your podcast, but like actually talking about, what's your podcast about? What do you do? Right. And not even let me follow you on Instagram. Let's talk some more. Our things are similar. It was such a great opportunity to meet so many like-minded creative people.
Yes.
And not necessarily just trying to get your show out there, but like learn from each other, because not even just that, like I got ideas and I passed some ideas along to some other people. Like the volunteers and we still talk to each other and give each other resources. So, and like that's been the best thing from being able to participate in something like that.
That's dope. Yeah.
And to me, it's I think that what we are good at is creating a culture of comfort when you walk through the door. I never want anyone to feel like if you came by yourself, you don't leave by yourself. You know what I mean? Right. You feel like I left with a new friend. I left with a connection. And you also feel like I can come by myself because everybody's going to be welcoming and nice. And so like the event that we did in January, we do a big summit in January. And we made it way less because of what was happening in January this year. But, the person that came from the furthest flew out from Jersey to come and came by themselves. You know what I'm saying? But how did he even come is because he was listening to the podcast. And then he saw that we were doing the conference and he was like, if I listen to the podcast, I definitely have to come to the conference.
Right.
That's my friend William now. That's one of the biggest compliments that I can say, that this voice and this podcast and this has given me that opportunity to be able to allow people to feel like, okay, you're my friend in my head. Like, how Wendy Williams say friend in my head. Right. I love that and I appreciate that. And I don't take it for granted. Because that could be the thing. And people send messages sometimes like to the point where I'm like, oh my God, I feel like I want to cry. Like when I get some of these messages that people are saying, you helped me through XYZ, it's like, I didn't know it was going to touch somebody like that. So that's why it's important, because our voices do make a difference.
Right. I agree. And I will say too, Chisa, I absolutely love everything that you're doing. I'm excited too about the piece about wealth in particular. Only because there are a lot of us with neurodiversity who have issues with managing money. Like statistically, we have less money than the neurotypical population. Yeah, that's all us in this. Look, that's both of us in this situation. Child, please, we is all in this situation together. But it's just because of things like lack of impulse control can like stop you from being able, like there are times where I have bought things because I genuinely felt like I absolutely needed this in order for my business to move forward. And then after getting it, being like, why did I get this?
Look, there's a reason why my podcast year is a tax write-off, okay?
I'm telling you. So and it's hard to tell the difference, because for us, the feeling is so like you need to get this right now. If you don't, you're not going to like have what you need to be able to move forward. And like, that's the excitement piece of it for us to start new projects and to like get into those new things. But sometimes that's very short-lived because we don't always have a good assessment of like, maybe we need to wait a little bit of time before we actually decided to make a decision on purchasing a whole lighting situation, photography situation, you know?
Yes, no, but I have to answer like, so you know what? As I'm listening to y'all, like the revelation that I swear, he works in my life. You don't understand. But
he loves his people.
My book is written like that because in the book, you know, we talk about your 8 life focus areas. And you have to understand that everything is not a major key right now. You know what I'm saying? Like you still have all different parts of your life. And so what's important right now? So this is my answer to you, to do things in 90-day increments. Is this in your 90-day focus? If it is not in your 90-day focus, it's not something that you should be spending money on. Now, I can tell you, I have an impulse control issue called Target, okay?
Listen, we all do. Target.
So what did I start doing? I started ordering my stuff online. I don't even need to go in the store. Put it in the trunk, okay? If it's not on the list, put it in the trunk. Let me drive up. I'm check in. I'm in aisle 3. Bring it to the trunk, and then I don't even need to go inside, right? So it stopped me from spending so much at Target. Even at the grocery store, right? You're hungry, so you're trying to get extra stuff. Right. So what did I do? I started getting shipped, and shipped comes right to my door right here, drop some groceries off, right? If I forgot something, it's either on the next shipped offer, or I'm going to get the little bit of things that I forgot. So I think that, you know, impulse control is something that probably a lot of people deal with, but if it's going to be detrimental to you, then you have to understand that, you know, that's really the issue. But is it always a bad idea? Like maybe you spend on something right now and it saves you from spending on it later. I think you just have to kind of, you have to kind of weigh that out and see like, what did you spend on? Was it really worth it? Now, could you have gotten it cheaper if you had researched it? Was it better something?
We do research though. That's the problem.
Yeah, but if you needed it, then it was still a necessity, right? So in the book we talk about there's a difference between needs and wants. I think you should get stuff that you want, but I also think you have to focus on the basic needs of things, right? And your basic needs are where you're gonna stay and what are you gonna eat. Everything after where you're gonna stay and what you're gonna eat is, you know, and I mean, I guess too, if you have to throw in now you need gas to get places, right? Because you got to get those are the basic things that you need, and where you're going to stay includes the lights, includes the phone, you know what I'm saying, includes those internet. After that, everything else you can kind of just make it, you know, let it fall where it may.
Right. I will say this too. I think that with age comes a lot of wisdom. At least that's what you would hope for. You know, every now and again we all backslide. That's what I'm saying. We all human. Don't beat yourself up. Just, you know, figure out a way to get through it. I think it's the biggest thing. And like I said, also too, like that's why I take medication, because I know that I don't have the willpower to just be like, no, you don't need it. Because in that moment, it may very well, that's what I'm saying, we have emotional dysregulation. So literally my anger, I feel it viscerally. And I feel like the whole, that's like a whole bunch of emotions that I feel in ways that are not just like, this is just a feeling I'm having. Like I physically can feel it in my body. So it's, you know, being aware of that. I know that, okay, instead of using my own already, you know, barely there executive functioning skills, let me go ahead and just like help myself out. Shoot, they made medication to help. Why? Just do it. Just or talk to a therapist or whatever. Or just, you know, get the skills, put those things in place like you were talking about. Like, okay, I know that if I go in this grocery store, it is very likely that I'm gonna pick up a whole bunch of extra books. So I do better to just go home and, you know, get on my computer and put in my grocery list and make them drop it off in the morning or whatever. Because that just makes more sense. And yeah, it costs a little bit more, but it's going to cost me a lot less than it would have cost me with all the extra shit I got at the grocery store when I went. So
it is because that delivery fee, you think about it like this. If the delivery fee, let's just hypothetically say it's $10, you would have had to spend your time to go to the grocery store, to walk around in there, to get what you need to check out, right? Hopefully the checkout's not long, or then you got to check out yourself like you work for the grocery store, right?
Right.
And then you also have to drive back to wherever you're coming from. So that money is well spent. The days are hot now. Okay, so now I got to use my air conditioning on top of that. I got to come out and sweat, honey. You might get some boob sweat. We don't know. But if you stay in the house, it's not no boob sweat, right? So you got to kind of weigh it, and that's how I look at it. And so now the other thing that I started doing is I will only get enough groceries for this amount of time to cook this amount of days. And that makes a difference. Like today, I went to the grocery store today. I got some lamb chops and I got a banana. That's all I got. Lamb chops and a banana. I came home and I ate a banana sandwich for lunch today, and I made these lamb chops and they was banging tonight, right?
Yes.
Rice, some fried apples, honey. I cooked it up in here tonight. But the biggest thing is I didn't need to go to the grocery store to get a whole bunch of stuff. I only got the thing that I was coming. And to me, that's the hardest thing. Only getting what you came to get. Oh my God. Like that's
the hypocrisy.
That's the hard thing. Only getting what you came to get. But I think what I'm trying to do is, and this is just me. So I just this is more of a transparent thing. I know what I have in my immediate future. And when I'm saying immediate future, in my next 90 days that I want to do and that I am going to do. I know where I want to be by the end of this year. In order for me to get there, I can't do other certain things. Like it's concerts I want to go to. It's stuff all over the place that I want to do. And I'm just like, I should have been at the Essence Festival. This is what that version of me is saying. I would have been at Essence turned up this year, but I just came from New Orleans in December, right? I had my New Orleans experience. It was an Essence Fest experience. Yes, I saw the pictures. Yes, I saw the videos. Oh, you get the FOMO, you want to be there. But if I had spent that money to go to Essence, it would take me off of my trajectory to do something else. So in my mind, I'm affirming that what I have to do going forward is more important than me just doing that one temporary thing. Because what I'm trying to do going forward is to set me up for 2023 and 2024 and 2025 and so forth. I can't take the direction and shift it so much to spend that. Like they're doing the Rock the Bells concert in New York in August. I want to go home so bad, right? I looked at the flights today. It's like $500 a ticket. I need 2 tickets, okay? The concert will be another at least $300-$400 plus the hotel room, unless I stay with somebody. And when I travel, I don't want to stay with nobody at the house. So hotel rooms are $300 a night. I need them for at least 3 nights because I need to get there early the day of, and then I need to sleep the next day and then come. So when I look at all of that, then it's like, okay, if you do that, then you need an Uber or 3, right?
Right. Gotta get around.
Which means you got to rent a car plus pay insurance plus pay the gas. So I'm like, if I do that, that might be a $2,000 trip for technically one day.
Right.
It's not worth it because I can take $2,000 and do you know how I can multiply that?
Yeah.
I'm going to have a great time and I'm not begrudging anybody that wants to do anything, right? My thing is live your life, enjoy. But sometimes you have to have a delayed gratification. And my affirmation tells me that what I need to do with my money is better than what I want to do with it right now. So if I want to go do all of this stuff, I need right now to affirm that it's better for me to take that 2,000, let's just say, and trickle that out over 3 months if I need stuff for my business, than for me to spend that right now on one thing that's going to be going that's fleeting. I'm going to have a great time.
Let me receive this.
Yes, come on now.
In my mind, though, I'm going to have a great time. In my mind, I'm sweating. I'm going to be dancing. My arms is going to be up. I'm going to have on an outfit. I'm going to be cute. I'm going to have my fan with me. Oh, and I'm going to lose my voice because I'm going to be all
you
that's
already know.
So then when I lose my voice, it's going to take me like a good another week to get it back, right? Because that's what happens. So I'm thinking of all those things. Then, I'm a little bit older than I used to be now. So my knees from standing up at the concert the whole day and my back and my body. And so it's like, you have to weigh it. And when you weigh it, I'm affirming that what I want to do is not as important as what I need to do. I need to do these things for me in order to get where I want to be. And that's just it.
Listen, you all up in people kitchen, Chisa. Come on in here.
Oh,
Come on in
I
here.
need to receive.
God,
Let me receive. Yes.
God. I have a question to that point. Just we kind of went past it because we were kind of going into the wealth and all that stuff, but you already know we in the hyper focus, we out here. So my question is, when it comes to these affirmations, should we be writing them down? Do you feel like writing, because I know you said it was important to say them, and I understand that piece of it, but I'm like, is it also important to like have them up, have them, we had talked about music, so I know that that's another way to kind of keep it going each day, but I'm saying, does the process of actually like writing them out each day like help as well, or is that just a matter of preference kind of thing?
I think it is a matter of preference, but I also think it's kind of like how people learn, where they learn visually or they learn auditorily or they, kinesthetically. I think that you have to do what works for you. Some people need to see it over and over again. So just as an example, when I used to work in an office situation and I had to go into an office job and I had my little cubicle, I needed to see stuff up. Stuff that made me not think about the cubicle, because I needed to see that the cubicle was a certain time frame and I was eventually going to be out of the cubicle, right? I like artwork. So if you can incorporate it into artwork, I think that that could be a great thing also, because then you can create something extra with it. And there's a lot of therapy that goes into, when you're using therapeutic art. So I think that you can create it however you need to. Me though, personally, I like to hear stuff, right? So even in like when you talk about your love languages, I like words of affirmation, right? So it kind of goes into the person that you are, but my love language is giving gifts. Like, so if I'm cooking for you, if I'm doing something or I buy you a gift or something, like yesterday, I went to McDonald's because I was starving. So I got a kid's meal, a Happy Meal for the first time in like, I don't even know how many years, right? And so then I told my husband, I said, I got a present for you. It was like a little Buzz Lightyear, right? Now, first of all, that wasn't a present. I could have just threw that toy away. But I was like, here, I got you.
I was thinking of you.
Here, right? All I was thinking about was those French fries and those nuggets, though, girl.
Right.
But it's still in my thought process of, I got something extra, so here you go, because the fries and the nuggets are gone, right?
They're gone.
Right.
Yeah, I feel that.
Right.
I feel that.
What makes you feel better? Some people love to write. Now, I love to physically write. So I have my and that's what I'm saying. It depends. I still have my big notebook. I have notebooks galore. I have my date book where I'll put stuff in there. And I like to write things down because I will forget stuff if I don't. I need to do that for me. But then I also have like different notes apps and things that are in here. So I'll keep them inside of my phone. Like if I'm watching television and somebody says something that triggers in me, ooh, that would be a good ass affirmation, I need to write it down. So I write it down, but more so in my phone when I'm doing that. So I think it does make a difference in preference, like how you need to see it reflected in your life. It could be a lot of different things for different people. And what's, because what if you got a really small place? You might not have room to put everything everywhere. You know what I mean?
Right.
It just depends what's going to work the best for you. And I think that your environment definitely can set a tone for how you feel. So when people say clean up does make a difference. If you have just an area, like this little area I got right here, every so often I make myself a little studio nook, right? I just move stuff around, the same stuff in the house. I might buy a new piece of fabric in the background. This piece of fabric was over there for 2 years, and then I decided to move it over here.
Right. And now it's new. Deal with it.
That's what I wanted, right?
Right.
So this is my area. I'm sitting in the same chair that was over there, like 2-3 months ago. But when I move stuff around, it gives me a different feeling. And then I feel like this is my space. This is my spot. This is what I need for now, And so however you need to do it for you makes sense. Like every week I go to Trader Joe's and go get some flowers, right? I don't know, $5, $10, depending on what it is. And I have that because it makes me feel better. So my affirmation might be that I like pretty flowers, right? I used to never really care about flowers because I'm like, they're going to die. Now I like them, right? But I think that it is what is affirming you in the lifestyle that you want. In my lifestyle that I want pretty flowers in there. I want a little bit of nature. I want some greenery. So that's part of it. I don't think that the affirmations just have to be written. I don't think they just have to be verbal. They can be in your actual visual representation of your atmosphere that you create for yourself.
Love that. Love that. Love that. Awesome. I don't know, Rickey, did you see this? Before we go into hyper focus mode, we just wanted to mention one other question, which was just how would you recommend that we affirm each other or just affirm others outside of ourselves? So like our family members, our children, our husbands, all these, our spouses, whatever relationships we have, friendships. Yeah.
You have to pay attention. I think that that's really key. And that does not mean being in somebody's face 24 hours a day. Okay. That can be a little bit suffocating. But if you can notice the nuances and personality changes in the things that people do, you should be able to tell, especially if you live with somebody, that you need to pay a little bit more attention to them. Right. And so like, I think that it plays a big role in my personal relationship because you can tell like, okay, like even this morning, I'll just tell y'all this morning, I did not sleep well last night. So I woke up later than I was supposed to wake up. Right. We live on the 4th floor. We have an elevator where I live. So my husband, we have remote start to the car. He started the car is on. We both get downstairs and I'm like, do you got the keys? And he's like, nope, I don't got the keys. So we can get into our place and our car from the phone, but you can't drive the car if you don't have the keys.
Right.
Well, I guess you better go back upstairs and get those keys. That's we're not going anywhere. He comes back, he gets the keys, we get in the car, and I could tell he was already agitated because he's like, I'm gonna be late, and I'm like, look, you're not gonna be that late. But see, this is the calmer, more affirmed, more of me, because I could tell you 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, this would have been an argument, right? But I'm just like, listen. So I said, this is what happened. We had a communication failure this morning. And I told you I didn't sleep well. And we're going to get you where you need to go in that time frame because I got to be somewhere. You got to be somewhere. And then, the day is going to go like it needs to go. So then later on, he sends me this lovely text message to say, listen, I was just aggravated this morning. Let's be in love. Like, that's our whole little thing. Let's be in love. Let's be friends, right?
Oh,
yeah, so cute.
Right? But I can tell you, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, we probably would have cussed each other out on that text message this morning, right? Like, no, you know what?
Growth.
I realized I was agitated because of XYZ. Now, had I not left the keys upstairs, because it was my fault, I did leave the keys. I just walked out the house like this morning. But when this morning, my mind wasn't there, right? I was thinking, I'm like, I don't like to be late. So it puts me in a state of panic when I'm late.
Anxiety triggering. Yeah.
It's probably going to be like a minute or two. I'm just walking out the house like, we don't need keys, So like I'm saying, I think that it's a matter of paying attention to people, but you also have to train yourself to say nice things to yourself and other people, because how you respond to things will set the tone. Had I been nasty and I didn't sleep well, it would have set the tone for something else. But I was just like, we had a failure to communicate this morning. I'm sorry.
Right.
Get those keys, but it is what it is. The tone that you set and paying attention to people. So for your friends, check on your friends. It does not have to be like, oh, girl, I'm trying to have a 3-hour conversation with you. Hey, girl, I was just checking in. You okay? Now, what me and my friends do, we send crazy messages through Instagram. It works for us, right? Girl, I was thinking about you, ha, 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 smiley face emoji. And then if we really feel it, girl, we'll turn on a little voice memo, be like, ha, like we'll make some noise. That works for me and my friends, my guy friends, my girlfriends, we New York, here, wherever. Everybody's sending messages back and forth all day, right? It makes us feel connected. Now, when you start to see nobody's sending messages, it's something wrong, right? So the connectivity that we have and paying attention to each other makes a whole lot of difference. And one thing I can tell you, which is part of why I started Real Ass Affirmations, you might not have the person that you want to talk to be able to talk to. So in knowing that, who else can you talk to and and have that connection that you need to have, it makes a difference. So I would say just be observant. And you can always, you might be the one to reach out first all the time, but they should notice when something is off with you too, and then that can go 2 ways. So yeah,
Right.
I think that.
Right.
I love that. You said we have to train ourselves to say nice things to each other. Like, it's not something that's just gonna happen, dude. Like, and that is like so helpful. Seriously.
I mean, but it's true though, because like I have to remind myself to right now I can I can train myself to not say certain things. I gotta train my face not to show
Well,
what it is.
You do.
You're
But
working.
you know what? What if, I don't know. I know your face is still going to say what you're thinking, and your tone could even be sarcastic, because mine is quite frequently. But listen to what I said, right? And maybe the levity will be there, and you looking at my face like I'm about to go off, but I said nice things, right? So it's kind of like that
Trying.
and then you have to open your eyes really wide, like,
I am trying.
right?
Gotta be intentional. Gotta be very intentional.
I think on it, what do they say? Your eyes are the windows to your soul. So literally you're just letting your soul be like, I am pissed and I want to come out and fight you, but she is holding me back. So pay attention.
I'm a new creature in Christ. I'm a new creature in Christ. But I will hands. Don't do it.
Come on. I do throw hands straight up.
No, but you know what? I used to tell my son, I said, well, look, at this stage right now, you can have a good day, you can have a bad day. So you can determine what that's going to be like, right? Because then I also said, this could be when good times go bad. So when you have phrases to like snap people back into reality, especially with kids, it's about to be good times go bad. And then they be like, oh, well, I don't want the good times to go bad. Let me get myself together. Like,
it's about to be good times go bad. I'm still in that.
Listen, because have you ever, and where I got that from is that episode of Dave Chappelle, where everything was going good until then they did. So I was like, well, it's about to be good times go bad. Because the thing I think with a lot of us is the one decision that you make to say, whatever that thing is that is going to set somebody off, that's when you just change the whole course of things.
Right.
And it's like, you have to train yourself to not be, and I love to be petty. Oh my God. I have such an amazing petty skill set. If you're not petty for being petty, I live for that sometimes. But you know what? This evolved version of me, okay? This evolved version of me is like, you could do it. You could say
right.
Is it worth it? Because I love to be right. I do.
Ooh,
so
baby.
If you have to pair yourself, and I'm not trying to tell you just totally flip and change yourself, because a person knows that they're wrong and that you were right. Like, they know that, but you just get satisfaction out of saying I'm right.
Listen.
Sometimes you just look at them and you be like, and they know, right? And then, once they get themselves together, you can be like, I was right, huh? Oh, okay. And you can just, you have to say it. Like, so I think that you just have to, you got to train yourself to say nicer things to other people and yourself, so that this way you diffuse the situation. That's what it's
literally
about.
I was talking to my therapist about this today, because my son, like, he can say things that are very triggering, because I am raising him in a very different environment than what I was raised in. I was not allowed to have an attitude. What you mean? Kids don't have no attitudes. They don't have anger. They don't have sadness. They don't have, they have whatever I tell them. Sit down and shut your mouth, but you don't have no opinion in this matter. You do what I tell you to do.
No emotions.
No feelings here. So I'm over here trying to train my child to understand that, like, this is a part of humanity. We all have attitudes. We all have things that come up, but it doesn't give you the right to then react in a very negative way. And I am definitely training him to do that. If every time he says something to me that I don't like, I largely go off, instead of being like, you know what? Mommy's gonna take a break right here, because I feel my help coming on. And I don't want to have to come out of pocket, but I genuinely want to have real emotions around him and let him know too. Like, I get mad too, but instead of me using that as a tool to hurt you, I take a step back. I do what I need to do to get myself together so that I can control my reaction, or I can control how I, basically whether or not we're going to be turning good times bad, essentially. So yeah, I'm with you on that. It's just, you got to do a better job of just being like, yo, I have to take ownership of what I do when it comes to our engagements. And I can't just be like, well, I'm the parent and that just makes it right. Like, nah, he'll learn a lot more if I actually show him what it looks like to be mad, to hear somebody say something like that to you, and for you not to go clear off, which is what I want to do. But instead, I come back and go ahead and take my breath and come back and be like, all right, now let's deal with these consequences. All right. So, because I still run the show. So, it just let you know, you don't have to puff up your chest. You don't have to do that whole thing where I just bark and be yelling and all this other stuff and going out of pocket, where I'm trying to make my authority known that way, as opposed to being like, no, my authority is known. Right. You gonna listen to me regardless. You say whatever you want to say, and when you're done, these dishes still gonna be here. Hey man,
right.
Come on.
Right. We're still gonna have to deal with this.
It's I think the biggest thing that I've taught myself to do, and it's difficult, but my word for the year was calm. And me being calm, I don't know if it was even received as well when I started like really saying I'm going to calm myself down. I know it wasn't, even from other people, because they were used to me being like pop off, wild out. I when I want to, it's a nasty, nasty mouth. Okay. And if I'm upset, my goal is to hurt your feelings. My goal is to make you go crawl up on the
no punches.
None. Right. So I had to realize, yes, I'm telling the truth. Yes, I am saying things to be hurtful, but I don't have to do that anymore. And so if I take that feeling in a way, and I'm not trying to internalize it per se, but let me just sit down and breathe. Breathing exercises and laying down. And I literally mean just lay on the floor, just flat, and just get yourself. And I mean, it depends on where you at. Now, if you're at home, you can lay on the floor. Don't do this in the streets, okay? No. But lay on the floor and just be calm. Or if you just sit down and just turn yourself where you're not paying attention to anybody else, and just be calm and just breathe. And when you start to pay attention to your breathing, when you're upset, everything is elevated to a level that will cause you to have a headache, will cause hypertension, causes all kinds of extra stress, stuff that wasn't hurting all of a sudden is hurting because you're aggravated. So the biggest thing is to sit down and be calm, and then just play it out and realize, well, what's my part in this? Once I realize what's my part in this, my biggest thing is to take responsibility for whatever I did, that even if I'm not sorry, but that could have caused you to feel a certain way. Or
man,
if I'm right, I'm still right, but
correct.
That doesn't mean that your feeling
delivery.
It's your feeling, right? So if you think about it like this, if we didn't feel so much, it wouldn't be a lot of these problems that we have, right? But we feel a certain way. We feel slighted. They got me in my feelings. That's the whole problem with things. So when you start to sit down and be calm, people don't understand that because they're used to you reacting. That calmness gives you the chance to think, and hopefully, unless they're trying to be violent, which I would assume most of the time is not, it gives them the chance to think like, oh, is she about to wild out? Like, cause she real calm, like, and it's like, no, I'm just going to sit down and I'm just going to think. And, and if you can't do that, then the other option is just leave the situation, because sometimes staying in a place, literally, if you just walk outside, go for a walk, go do something else, it can clear your mind because you're not in that environment anymore. So either sit there and be calm, lay down and be calm, or leave out the situation. And you don't even have to say anything because your actions are there to say, okay, it's kind of like a wall that you're building around yourself to say, listen, I don't like what you're doing. I'm not digging your behavior. Let me not worry about what you're doing and focus on me. And then you know what? You might have a good dream. You might start thinking of a grocery list, honey. You might, a Pinterest board. I mean, you could do all kinds of stuff, You might think of your next podcast guest or something, right? because now my focus is not on you and your behavior. It's on me and what I need to do to be better. So that calmness has caused so much more level-headedness, and
you get your power back.
Better conversations.
Mine.
Because now you're willing to have a conversation as opposed to we're both just nobody needs to do all of that. So you can think clearer. It's clarity.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. Before we hop into our hyper focus mode, because we are getting ready for our last little segment here. And Chisa, you have been giving us all these wonderful nuggets. I'm over here taking notes, like legit, like, hold on, but wait a minute when she said that though. But I wanted to ask, what part of New York are you from?
I'm from Mount Vernon. So I'm from
Mount Vernon. Okay.
Yes. So when we get to the highway and it says upstate, we are not that far upstate. We're right next to the Bronx, right next over there to Yonkers, everything. Okay. So we're like how when the locks say it's a borough but not a borough. Gotcha. That's what Westchester County is. So yeah. Okay. We're a borough that's not a borough, but it's cool.
Dope. Now I have family in Brooklyn and in the whole little area. So I always, shout out to New York. Yes, so when I heard the accent, listen, for a long time, so I lived in New Hampshire when I was little, but I would spend my summers in New York. And so whenever I would go to New York with my cousins and stuff, they wouldn't let me like hang around them unless I got my accent together, because I was definitely not, I was not up on it. And it was like, listen, we cannot take you nowhere. So now it's just like a part of me. I can, every now and again, it'll come out. I feel like it's come out a little bit in this conversation every now and again, but like, yeah, it's just a thing where I love New York for that, for like the flavor of it. It's just real, like live, and the people, even though like it's really one of those things where once you know New Yorkers, then they're like the best people to hang out with. But like if you don't know them, they just mind their business. That's really the way I express it. It feel like in the South they don't. They just be all up in your bed. Like she rolled down the street and I waved at her. Like why? Like
trust me, I know. Because like this morning I can't, and this lady was like, "Good morning," and I was like, "Hello." I just this morning was not like this morning. That's what I'm saying. This morning at between 7 and 9 o'clock, I was not the same person as 11 and well, I guess 7 to 11, as 11 and on. You know what I mean? Like I think you just go through different stages. I was still me, but I wasn't as And it's sometimes you do want to have those conversations, but I've been in North Carolina long enough, and my family roots are all from North Carolina anyway. So I'll switch back and forth. I can give you Southern in a minute. It's not a problem. Like we can switch back and forth.
Right.
When I'm upset, it's going to be New York all day.
Correct. It's the most effective. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's the most effective.
And then there's certain words that I'm always going to pronounce. It's not that I don't know how to pronounce them, like in a regular English setting, but like I'm gonna say mother and father. Like that's just it's gonna be probably MUVA, father.
My father.
Like FAAVA, right? Like it's gonna be mother, father. Like that's just what I'm gonna say naturally. But I can say mother and I can say father.
Right. I don't want to. That's whack. Okay. This is way better. Put that flavor back in now.
So I just like to season my words. You can get a little New York season, a little North Carolina season.
Okay. Yeah. Depends on what we're talking about. If I need to say something a little Southern and I need to draw it out, I'm trying to get down in that way, then you getting that. But if I need to get real pop offy,
you're gonna get a y'all in the fitna. And then my friend, one of her words she likes to say is a ski taste. Let me give you a little ski taste. I give you a ski taste. You want a ski taste? Okay. Just a little bit.
Ooh, I like that.
We switch back and forth,
Right. You know what? Effective. I love that. Awesome. You want to kick us off for the final session, Rickey? What you got?
All right. So like we've made it to our final evolved mode. We're in hyper focus mode, y'all. So Chisa, we just have a few more questions for you before we wrap up the show today. So before we do that, thank you so much. Thank you for having this conversation with us. And hopefully we're going to have you back soon. Okay.
Yes.
This has been really great. This has been really great. And this is actually the longest podcast I've ever done, because I think everybody else's stuff was like an hour or less. So when I saw this, I was like, did they get the time right? I was like, this really 2 hours? I was like, did I sign up for 2? I was like, now listen, I was like, how they both gonna be focused for 2 hours? But then I was like, you know what? We're gonna make it work. Okay, we're gonna
You
do it.
already know.
I'm thoroughly enjoying it.
Awesome. It's with a live stream, we got to do like a little bit longer because people kind of stop by and stuff like that, and they may not hang out on the channel for the whole time. Some of them do. But we just like to talk a lot anyways. That's a part of our neurodivergency. So I feel like it just fits.
I'm here for it. I'm here for it completely.
Awesome.
You want to hit the first question?
Yes, so we are going to end off in HyperFocus mode, which is, do you remember the times? Because I want you to go back for us a little bit, come on, and remember some times when affirmations in your life were either too difficult to do, or like basically a time when affirmations really largely helped you in a way to really get through a certain thing in life or like a certain session in life. When have affirmations either been too difficult or like I don't, it depends on whether one or the other is appropriate. So I just want to make sure I'm giving both of those options.
I would say the most difficult have probably been when people have passed, but I kind of take that in relation to who the person was, what they meant, and I take into consideration, did the person have a good life, right? I think about oftentimes when there's, and I don't remember the quote exactly verbatim, but Robin Williams, when he's like, if I touch somebody, if I made somebody feel good, then I did what I was supposed to do, basically. And I know that that's not exactly the quote. And then I think about the fact that Robin Williams committed suicide. Robin Williams was dope, right? He was a comedian. He was funny. Mrs. Doubtfire was everything, honey. I mean, he was so wonderful. And then you wonder when you start to see people like that struggling, right? So it gives me the thought process with the affirmations. It's put me in the mind where I think of mortality more than I used to, right? And me and my husband just had this conversation the other night. I'm like, look, I would never want, like, let's say like the whole Kevin Samuels thing, where everybody's like, oh, he deserved, first of all, everybody technically deserves to die because we're going to die. Like, we know that this is not a stay forever kind of thing. But I would never want to be the kind of person where people are like happy that I'm dead. Like, oh, the wicked witches. I'm just like, I try my best to be better than I was, right? Because I know the type of person that I have been, but I also know that if I can take the rest of this time that I have on earth to be helpful to somebody in some way, shape, or form, whether it was business or their personal life, or whatever the situation was, it could just be a kind word and I didn't even know it, right? But if that's the case, and let's say it's your funeral, and then people are coming, I want people to get up and say good things, right? I want people to laugh. Now, I'm also going to tell you at my funeral, I'm going to need you to play Wu-Tang and Nas, and I also need you to end it with CL Smooth. They reminisce over you. They already know the playlist. It's already been established, right? So
I'm coming. Making plans.
A party, right? Like, I want y'all at a party down. I want y'all to be like, oh, she would have loved this. Like, I just feel like
I agree.
That to me is the epitome of like you living, hopefully, what a good life is. Now, right now, people will say this and that about other people, and they didn't like such and such. And I mean, there's plenty of people that be like, well, they didn't necessarily like me. But I think that there's a thing in relation to being respected for who you are and appreciated for what you did. And so I think that the affirmations and what I'm doing, hopefully that's something where it's not like I'm trying to like buy my way into heaven, anything like that. Right. It's my way to give back to people. Right. Yeah. So I think it's most difficult when you face situations where people are gone and you'll never talk to them again. There's this one song that Jay-Z, when he did the other album with Jay Electronica. So it was Jay Electronica's album, but Jay-Z was on the song. And in the song, they're talking about I got numbers in my phone that'll never ring again. And that song tears my nerves up. Every time I hear it, because it's like, you know, like even in my phone, I still have not taken my mom's number out of my phone. Her little face is still up in my phone. I just can't bring myself to do it. Right.
Yeah.
But then I have the affirmation of knowing she did everything that she could possibly do to make sure that I turned into a good person. You know what I mean? Right. So you have to look at what a person is meant to you. And I think that's probably the most difficult. I do think that it is easier and probably the most beneficial when you need somebody to hype you up. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're talking about being hyper focused, but sometimes you don't have anybody else there to hype you up. Like, it's a lot of people that are single, a lot of people, you know, that don't have any family or, you know, maybe estranged from people and stuff. And you have to be the one to hype yourself up. So, you know, it's days that I don't feel like doing certain things and I don't do them on those days. But then it's other days that I'm like, and this is just my personal phrase for me, you a bad bitch and you need to get your ass up and do what you need to do. So let's be a bad bitch today. All right. Now, yesterday, you might have been a little bit crusty. Okay. Today, get up and do what you need to do. So you get to have both of those things. But I think in that, even when it was crusty times, right? It was like, but did you work though? Because the crusty times, most of those times, that's when I made more money, right? Like when I was over there being crusty, I was sending them emails. That's when I was working with them clients, right? So it's like you need both of those things. And I think that the affirmations for me, affirm yourself, like give yourself something to keep looking forward to, and just knowing that, you know, you that person, you the one that has to keep you going.
Right. So what are some common missteps that you've seen people do that might like hinder the effectiveness of their affirmations?
Not taking action. Like when we said in the beginning, you can say you want to do something. I have seen it time and time again. I have spent hours, I have spent years with people that claimed that they wanted to be something, but never put forth the effort to really make that happen. I have seen people in positions, you know how like a person will ask you for help and you tell them who to call, or you tell them who to, you know, meet, or where to go, or this would be a great such and such, and they don't do it. You know what I mean? It's always going to be an excuse or a reason as to why that person didn't get what they were supposed to get, why they did. And it's just like, because you didn't take any action, right? And sometimes people got to realize, you know, when they talk about sowing seeds, the biggest thing, so like the episode that's coming out next week is about sowing seeds. The biggest thing that happens is you're given these gifts, right? You have these gifts, but if you don't use them, what's going to happen? They could go past to somebody else, right? Or it could still be that you have the gift, but the timing for the gift is off because you wasted your time, you know? And it could be the difference between an hour, a day, a minute, and now the opportunity is gone. And it's like, you could have been such and such, you could have done, you could have met, but you didn't do what you need to do. So you have to actually act in addition to saying the affirmations.
Right. So real quick, so you said about sowing seeds in particular. So because that brings just a number of analogies in my little head, but I just largely think about the fact that like it's important to even know what kind of seeds you have, right? Or like what kind of care your seeds need so that like they get what they need. And sometimes that isn't always like something that you necessarily are lacking. It's because you know, with the neurodivergent piece at least, you know, for us, it's just the fact that we haven't had a lot of accommodations for, because I mean, we didn't even know anything was different. So, I mean, of course, we didn't know what kind of seeds we were. We just knew we were seeds. We was out here like, how come I'm not popping up like a daisy? And it's like, because you're an orchid though. So you need like a different level of care and you need like a different level of stuff. But like when you get that, like I get you as an orchid as opposed to like, you know, some pop-up daisy, which is no shade to the daisies. Like I don't want to look, I don't want no daisy to be calling me feeling some type of way, okay, to the daisies. But for us orchids, we need our stuff, okay? We need our extra attention. I need pruning. I need extra water. I need special lighting. I can't do it, okay? But when I have what I need, I show up. I show up. And I feel like that's the piece that's like so important about that sowing seed part. It's just like recognize like important before you even go to just be like, well, I know I got seeds of potential, but figure out first like who you are, what that needs to actually look like, because what may work for one person may not work for somebody else, right? Like that's there are ways where people are like, yeah, I just need to, get up and just do the thing. Like I've heard people say all the time of like, well, I just give myself willpower when it comes to like remembering to get my keys. You talk about missing your keys. I literally have a spot in my house where if I don't put my keys in that spot, they don't exist. They just don't. I don't know where they be at.
They go with a one sock is that's always
void.
That's
Correct.
it. Yeah.
Into the void. So I'm aware of that. And instead of me being like, well, I can be in denial about that and be mad that like for other people, it's not, people could just lay their keys around and pick it up whenever they need it or whatever. Or I can accept that this is a part of how I show up in the world. And it is nothing wrong with having tools to be able to help me to do my very best, to be able to show up in the world as my very best. So yeah, I love that. Chisa, can you just let us know, we're just going to end off on this question here and then kind of go into like our little takeaways so that we can start wrapping up. But what is one thing about affirmations that you wish someone would have told you when you first began using them or even before you started using them? Or do you feel like you've been using them all along?
I feel like I was always using them because there was always somebody to instill confidence, but we just didn't know that they were affirmations, right? Like there was always somebody to say, do this or you're this. And so that was always instilled, but we just didn't necessarily know that it was an affirmation then, right? And I think that what happens is as things get more popularized, even when you talk about therapy and mental health and all of that, everybody wants to use the same words, but they don't all have the same meaning to people and the context can be different with them, right? So that's why in my world, an affirmation doesn't just have to be something that's written or something that's said. It is also in the way that you're living your life, because you are constantly affirming what you want, right? And how you live, where you go, the things that you do, and so like one of the things that I would say for me is I believe in quality of life. So I want to kind of leave people with this. The quality of life that you want is going to be represented in the things that you do, the places that you go, and the people that you're around. And so if you want to affirm a certain quality of life, you'll realize everybody can't be everywhere and you can't be everywhere. Wow. So when you really start to think about that, your quality of life is going to change. I specifically now go to places because I saw it, it looked good, and I wanted to try it, right? And every time that I've done this, but no matter how far I've traveled, I have enjoyed myself because I think life should be more about experiences. And so when you start to think it's not just the material things that you have, it's in what you're doing to make yourself feel better. I specifically seek out things that I know that other people are not going to be at, or that people are not necessarily going to look like me just to experience it. Doesn't mean that I have to like everything, but it does mean that I had that experience and now I can know, should I go back? Should I try such and such? People want to be so in a box that they don't want to try new things. And it's like, you can't keep eating exactly the same thing all the time. You might really like something. And what if you didn't like it one time, but somebody else cooks it and you like it a different way? You just have to do things, right? So in doing that, I think that that's affirming. I want to try new things. I want to do some other stuff. I don't necessarily have to go where everybody else goes just because they're there. And I can forge my own path with what I'm doing and how I'm living, right? So even, and as more specifically, even for parents, your kids need to experience things. I was able to experience a lot of stuff in New York that I can't experience down here because it doesn't exist down here, right?
This is true. They literally have grown children in New York, basically.
Travel to other places in order to experience it. And you have to realize traveling doesn't always mean that you got to go out of the country. It's stuff in your city, in your state that you never go to, right? Never go to, but just try it. So look at your quality of life and make that your affirmation. If you want a certain thing, that doesn't mean, if you like Louis Vuitton belts, honey, go get you a Louis Vuitton belt. But the money that you would spend on that and the time, you might be able to find something else that you like in that time frame. So I look at the experiences that you have and looking at how you really want your life to be, but you always have to focus on your basic needs first, and then you can start to focus on your wants. Because when you have what you need, you build an opportunity for the wants to be able to happen, right? And then you want some new stuff. That's the biggest thing. Think about people that go in the military. They go all over the world. They would have never went some places, right? And then you see they probably stay in different places now than their original place that they were in because they've seen some new stuff. You know, so see some worlds, see some things, do some stuff, and just think about your quality of life and affirm that that's what you want.
Love that. Love that. Thank you so much, Chisa, for all of this great information. I legit am already thinking to myself, like, I can't wait till we actually get this all like downloaded or whatever so we can play it again because I need to watch this again. Like all good stuff in there. So I want to go ahead and just do a quick takeaway type thing where each of us will just offer one takeaway that we have gotten from our conversation today, something that stuck out for you that you want to just leave our audience with. And so for me, I wanted to start off with, because I took tons of notes, Lord. So I'm like over here trying to pick like which one. I liked the fact that music is affirmations, or just the fact that affirmations don't have to be just words where you're just saying things. It really is a feeling. It is affirming in your life, like what you want and what you desire your life to be. And so I really love that because I already was doing that, and now I feel like I have permission because I done talked to Chisa. She said that my music is affirmation. So now what?
That's right. It is. Put your playlist together, girl. I'm gonna share a playlist tomorrow. I'll put a playlist up on a thing.
There we go.
I'm doing this all the time.
Yeah,
I'm down for that. That's what's up.
So I would have to say my takeaway is you're talking about understanding your needs and your wants and using your needs to kind of like plan out your future. So like for me like looking further ahead beyond like the next month is difficult. It's kind of it kind of makes me anxious, but like there are things that I need to look ahead and big picture wise to know where I want to go with my business. I have goals, but like I need to sit and actually plan. Like, what do I need to do? What are the steps that I need to take?
Yep.
What do I need to tell myself, to affirm myself, so I can make those steps towards those goals?
Awesome.
Yeah, awesome. I like that, and I would say for you to take into consideration, and I think I did say this to you before, but you got to go back to school, right? So they've already given you a date of when work starts back, right? School teachers have a expiration when it comes to, oh, everything was fun, I didn't have to deal with anybody, and oh man, now it's time to go back. So, you know, have as much of that fun and do as much of the things that you can do that you really love during your downtime. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because then it's going to be back to, now you got a whole new set of students, a whole new set of parents, you know, rules and regulations and all of the rest of that. So enjoy your time and spend it wisely, right? I would say that now, if I had a takeaway, I would be thinking to myself, I really enjoyed this. Like, I really enjoyed it. I love your perspective on now me getting a better understanding, because just being able to listen, right, and absorb what you guys are saying and understand that there is a difference and there are nuances that you need to work with people. I would say to really take your differences and make sure that other people know them, right? Because some people are just slack and lax, and that's not what you're saying. But I also would love for you to really embrace what you're really good at, because whatever you're really good at, it's nobody else that's going to be in any position that's going to be better at that than you, wherever your position is, right? And so when you see what you're really good at, that's the skill that I would say that you hone the most and that you probably use to monetize, because you know nobody is trumping you on that, right? Like, I am the best at this. I really excel at this thing. That's probably the thing that you probably want to monetize the most, because you already know that you're good at it, right? And once you figure out, okay, I know I'm good at this, you can pick up other skills, but you already know it. So just take that and monetize it.
That's dope. Well, listen, snaps, claps, all the things, honey. Look, where a tambourine at? Hey,
yes,
come on now. Love it. Awesome.
Right. So Chisa, so let's remind everybody, where can we find you and all the things?
Yes.
So you can find me, and it's Chisa Pennix-Brown. So my name is on the screen, but ChisaPennixBrown, and that's on Instagram. Real Ass Affirmations is on the screen. RealAssAffirmations. Real Ass Affirmations. And then you can find me also if you want to go to the website, Give It to the People. I have a website that's Lady Business. So you can go to either of those sites and find, and we're going to be condensing those sites into one, but you'll still be able to use all of like the links to get there. So the other thing is you could just Google, and I'm not trying to be like, it just is real like that. You can Google and you can find the girl. Okay. So if you love this today, what I would love for you to do is follow and subscribe to Real Ass Affirmations. If you like what I said and you want to leave like a Google review, you can go to Lady Business on Google. You can leave a 5-star review there. But listen to the podcast and then just share it with more people, because I think that once more people get to hear it and it gets where it needs to go, it's going to go into the right ears. You know what I mean? So just share it with more people, and you'll get a weekly dose of what I like to call foolishness and fuckery every now and then. Sometimes it's shenanigans, but it's always going to be something good to just uplift you every week. So just definitely listen to Real Ass Affirmations, and you can follow online.
Awesome. And of course, we want to make sure that not only are you following Chisa, you got to follow Black Girls HyperFocus. We bought y'all Chisa, or at least on this show. And so we want to make sure that y'all continue to connect with us and make sure that you're getting all connected to all our things. So we got a link tree. Make sure you look at that on the screen. It's linktree, linktr.ee/Black Girls HF, which stands for Black Girls HyperFocus. And all of those links to our Facebook, our Instagram, our Twitter, our LinkedIn, our TikToks, all the things, they're all there. Okay, so make sure that you go ahead and check those out. You can also join our exclusive Facebook group and email list as well on that site. And so also you can find links to our individual stuff, because we are both business owners separately as well. Rickey Z runs Rickey Z social media, and I am working with ADHD and Black, the organization. And so we are doing various things for neurodivergent people, and especially of color. And so we want to make sure that we're connecting with you guys and making sure that we're representing you well. Okay, we out here.
Right.
So our Facebook group is a community of HyperFocus folks who are all looking for ways to keep the HyperFocus going. So meet our other neurodivergent and Black people and stay connected in between shows. All you have to do is log on to facebook.com/groups/the-hype-crew, and we'll let you in to our little version of neurodivergent Wakanda. All good. You want to go ahead and close us out, Rickey? What you got?
All right. So thanks again to Chisa for being our guest tonight. I'm so glad. You were able to join us.
Thank you.
This has been wonderful. And thank you to all of our viewers for watching tonight. So we can't wait for you to join us for another live stream. Remember, we are on every other week. So our next show will be July 20th, Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. Central, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you can find us on Twitch and Facebook Live.
Yes.
So until we hyperfocus again, y'all.
Have a good night. And a great upcoming week. Peace out. Black Girls HyperFocus out.
Bye, y'all. Thank you.
Bye.